preceded our coming onto the scene. Some which preceded, our coming onto the scene, because if a building that had been in construction for the past 20-something years, you know, if we have been in this business for that, we imagine that our real estate industry will have gone further than it has gone today. But certain factors, contribute to it. And I believe that architect Ben Ebo will be giving us some of those facts. And without much ado, I believe he's already in the house with us. Architect Ben Ebo, good morning, sir. Okay, it's afternoon now. Good afternoon, sir. Kindly unmute yourself.
Okay. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, sir. You have the floor, sir.
Okay. Yeah. Good afternoon, all. Of course, as I've already been introduced, my name is Enyi Ben Ebo. I'm an architect by training, and I'm talking this morning, or this afternoon rather, on the architect and his role in the value chain of real estate. Now, it may be necessary at this point in time to give a brief definition of what real estate is all about. Now, real estate, vague definition is, it refers to landed property and whatever improvements have been made on the property. And it also refers to the whatever is underneath the ground. So if there are any mineral resources or deposits, the owner has rights to those. And of course, he has easement rights to the air above him. Now, real estate, in the sense we know it, refers to, sometimes we are, the layman out there thinks when you talk of real estate, you're only talking of residential estate. But real estate extends beyond residentials. You can have commercial real estate, you can have factories as real estate, you can have even institutions as real estate. So real estate, for the purposes of this discussion, is the improvement, and with improvement, we're talking of the buildings and the infrastructure that goes with the buildings. Now, for one to go into the real estate business, we'll be looking at it from different angles. Number one, from the investor who wants to invest in real estate as a business, and from the layman on the street who just wants to get an accommodation for himself or herself, and eventually use that accommodation for either mortgage to collect monies for a business, or to sell it or collect in terms of the improvement, the same cost, develop the same kind of building in, let's say, Ayobo or one of those suburbs of Lagos. But in terms of your returns on investment, you discover that Banana Island would obviously give you more returns on investment than Ayobo. So first and foremost, you're looking at the location. You must determine what your target audience is, or what your target market is, and you drive your location based on your target market. Of course, land is not the same price from location A to location B. So of course, you look at your pockets in determining where you want to get the land. Sometimes they say the body or the spirit is willing, but the body is weak. You may have high dreams of what you want to do, but if you don't have the financial resources, you have to start from where you can afford. So location is a very, very important factor. Now, after identifying a location, you must ensure that that location has good title, is unencumbered, because without title, you cannot advance on any real estate development. If you have land that is in dispute, you just be sinking your money into a sinkhole. So it's very necessary that you ensure that the title to that land is secure and that that land is unencumbered. Then, of course, you want to look at accessibility and also the nature of the land. You know, certain lands are easy to build on, others require quite a lot of investment to be able to build on it. Even in the same location, let's say, give a typical example in Lagos of a place like Magada, you'll discover that within 500 meters from one another, while a raft foundation would be okay for a duplex in one estate, you need a pile foundation in another part of the estate to be able to put up the same duplex. So you have to do your soil investigation also if you want to go into real estate business, to ensure that you don't spend unnecessarily high values in getting your foundation or the foundation of the building off the ground, because of course you know that foundation is key to your getting a building that stands. So you want to do those investigations first. Then of course you'd also want to do your preliminary planning, get your preliminary planning information to ensure that that area is suitable for whatever development you want to do on it. In most cities, you have what they call zoning, and the lands are zoned according to use. So if the part that you bought land in, or you want to buy land in, is not zoned for residential, and you want to do a residential estate there, of course, you know, you already have a problem. So you must get relevant information from the planning authorities that the zoning for that area is appropriate to what you want to do. These days, you can apply for change of density, change of use, and all of that, but all those will cost you extra money, which you would have avoided if you chose land in the proper place. So having satisfied yourself with all of those preliminary information, then of course you need to approach an architect. Now, the architect would ask from you what exactly you want to put up in that estate or on that land, if it's just a piece of land, and they will advise you on what is allowable in terms of volume that you can, the volume of the space you can build on, the height restrictions of that area. Somebody's entertaining us. Okay. Such issues as the height restriction, how many floors you are allowed to go, what percentage of the land you can build on, and what parking requirements and all of that you can be allowed to do. So of course, before you also get to that stage, you would need to consult with, you must need to do your feasibility studies, of course. Is that project going to be viable if it's an investment? If you want to buy, if you want to build and sell, you want to ask yourself if it will be viable in terms of profit. This would factor in the cost of putting up the buildings and what the prevailing rent or sale value in that area is. And if you borrow the money, what duration your returns on investment will be, so that you don't pay unnecessary interest. So you want to familiarize yourself with all of that. Then we will go into the detailed design. Of course, the architect would want to find out from you what type of buildings, whether they are terrace buildings, whether they are semi-detached, whether they are detached, and what numbers you want to build. And he would prepare you concept sketches of that and run through the design with you. Once you are satisfied with the concept, then he can go ahead to develop them into plans and detailed designs. Once the plans are ready, of course, the architect would work with other professionals in getting these plans done. Most significant of these would be the structural engineer, the electrical and mechanical. Then of course, there are one or two other consultants you need to work with to ensure that you get detailed contract documents prepared for the project. Once that is done, the drawings will go for planning approval. Of course, that takes a little while, depending on how tidy your documents are. If all your documentation is okay, and of course you have your tax clearances for the individual or the business, then it shouldn't take more than a month or slightly higher than that. And once your approval is obtained, the next stage is you want to decide how you want to go about the construction of the buildings. Some people, if you have the capacity, you can do it by direct labor if it's just your house. So you can engage professionals and you get a contractor, basically, somebody who put it together for you. Or if it's a big project, you have to do some pre-qualification of likely contractors who can carry out the works. Once the contractors are pre-qualified, they bid for the construction, and through a bidding process, a contractor or some contractors are chosen based on both technical and financial evaluations of their bids. Now, once the contractors are on site, or once the contractors are chosen, of course, you sign a contract to give you all the necessary if you're going through a mortgage institution, for instance, if it's an individual, you could apply through Federal Mortgage Bank or any other primary mortgage institution to get some monies, or some monies to basically carry out your development. Now, the construction would normally, the duration of the construction would normally be agreed between the contractor and the client, of course, with the supervision of the consultants. And you have the timelines within which
Hello.
keep making for that payment until.
Go ahead, sir. Go ahead, sir. I suspect something is happening to his network. Hello, sir. Architect Benebo, sir. Hello,
Sorry.
sir.
Yeah, sorry, I lost the connection at some point.
Yes, we lost you a bit, sir.
Okay, so
we were talking about direct labor, that you would agree on how long the project will take.
We're not necessarily direct labor. Well, either which way, even if it's direct labor, you would agree on the duration of the construction so that it doesn't become open-ended. And of course, you know, the longer you stay on the project, the more it eats into your profit. And if you borrow the money, of course, monies have a fixed duration for repayment. So you also have to be very, very careful about ensuring that you choose a procurement method that would ensure that the right personnel for the construction are chosen, and that the project is completed according to schedule. Now, I was also saying that in some instances, you could even start advertising the buildings, if they are buildings, if they are residential buildings, for instance, or even if they are commercial development, you can start advertising them off plan. And if you have a good pedigree and people trust you well enough, they can make deposits for parts of your project. And as you advance in the course of the project, they can make further payments. You could come into an agreement that, okay, once your foundation is done, you pay a certain percentage. When we get to roofing level, you pay another percentage. When we are finishing, you pay another percentage, and so on and so forth. Now, that is for the construction and the initial funding. Of course, you could fund it by, if you have some money, you can start with your own capital and get people to buy into it and fund it for you off plan. Or you could also approach a funding institution, a mortgage institution, or a bank to loan you some of the money to be able to carry out the development. Now, I'll now dovetail into the real topic of my discussion, which is the role of the architect. Now, the architect is that professional that you first and foremost have to meet when you want to do a real estate development, because he's the one who translates your dreams into reality. First of all, reality on the computer and reality on site. So he listens to you, synthesizes your dreams, and brings it into a language that anybody can see. And because he's also architects are very particular, not only in terms of hello. Okay, we had some interference there. So the architect
Please, can we all mute ourselves?
All right.
Thank you, sir. Please, can we all mute ourselves? You can go on, sir. Thank you, sir.
All right. So the architect is concerned not only with the functionality of the space. By functionality, I mean that it is fit for purpose. If it's the residence, he ensures that your spaces are adequate for the activities that will take place within the house and you enjoy the use of the house. He's also particular about aesthetics. So he wants a situation where somebody looks at your house and says, oh, that's a beautiful house. It gives everyone that satisfaction that, oh, I live in a beautiful house. So the architect is that professional who marries your functional needs with the aesthetic needs of people. Now, he also guides you through the process. It says the architect that's there from the beginning to the very end. Now, in terms of, like I said, there are some pre-designed decisions you need to take, which I enumerated earlier. Choice of site, in terms of choice of site, he guides you on whether that development you want is suitable for that location and so on and so forth. Now, even up to the choice of who constructs it, he guides you through that. In the course of the construction, he also ensures that whoever is building it is building according to what is in the design and the specifications. Because most times when you hear of building failures, they occur because somebody built without supervision. And of course, they say when there's nobody to check, when there's nobody who has professional liability in the event of any untoward event, once he's there, he's able to ensure that whoever is building it does not cut corners. Then, of course, right to the choice of, he guides you through the choice of things like your paint, your finishing. He makes sure that you are part of the decision-making process, especially at the finishing stage. And then once the building is completed, he also helps, his job does not end there, because you all heard recently that the president signed Executive Order 11, which has to do with maintenance of public buildings. So just like the government has woken up to the fact that buildings will have to be maintained, your architect is also there for you through the post-construction stages of your building. So if you start noticing anything that is unusual, you should be able to call him, because he knows all the intricacies of the construction process and is able to guide you. So that, in a nutshell, is, I hope I've not taken more time than is allocated to me. So that in a nutshell is the real estate business and the architect for you. Now, they say that in Nigeria of today, probably the safest form of investment is property. I recall back in the days when the shares boom came out, everybody was buying shares and people made a lot of money, and now those shares are almost worthless. And then all manner of investments came, the Ponzi schemes and all of that. You multiply your money in a jiffy and people got their fingers burnt. But real estate is one investment where properties appreciate with time. Somebody said if you buy and gains that people can get from real estate development and real estate investment. Take, for instance, in Lagos, the Lekki axis, the Lekki-Ekpe axis. A lot of people are saying, oh, it's too far because of the traffic getting from even VI to Lekki. But with the value of real estate investment. And I would enjoin anybody who, in fact, start early. That's the slogan, start early. If it's 1 million you have, go and put it in a location that you can get land for 1 million. By the time you are ready, you will discover that land may have gone up to 5 or 10 million. It's the only investment that can give you those kind of properties. But it also has its risk. Now, amongst the risk is that, especially for people who are buying property. Now, in a lot of our estates today, developers do all sorts of shoddy jobs, and they just paint it and it looks beautiful on the outside, and you pay money, only for you to move in and discover year in, year out, you have to break something to resurface somewhere, you have to repair this and repair that. So a lot of people are apprehensive buying properties that have been completed because you never can be too sure what was put inside, unless that property is being procured from companies that have a pedigree for quality over the years. And so in such instances, you can go to sleep. There's also the risk of purchasing land that does not have proper title, or whose title is in dispute. And that's why there's this thing they popularly say, caveat emptor, buyer beware. It's the onus is on you, the buyer, to ensure that you've done due diligence before you part with money. For instance, if somebody offers you a property for sale, make sure you go to the lands registry to find out in whose name that property is registered. If the person who is offering it to you is not the person whose name is in the lands registry, you want to see a trail, a credible trail between the person whose name is in the lands registry and the person who is offering it to you. Because people easily part with monies only to discover that the party who is offering you that sale does not have authority to so. You also have instances where you have family land. For instance, a man has a property, he dies and has 5 children. And because 4 of the children are abroad, only one is in Nigeria, that one in Nigeria wants to sell. And by the time he's doing that, unless he has power of attorney to do so, and which is something in such instances you must request for, and you must verify that it is authentic. There are cases of people who have bought land from people of that nature, and the rest of the brothers come and say, no, we didn't give him the authority to sell, and we are not authorizing that sale. And you are in court for years trying to lay claim to something that you're sure, or you know you may not get proper reprieve. So those are some of the risks that come with real estate. But if you do proper due diligence, of course, before you part with money, ensure you engage the services of the right professionals, sometimes lawyers, sometimes estate people, to do the search for you, and let the search be carried out before you part with. Don't be in a hurry. Anybody that tells you pay now, or pay in the next one now, any business that cannot wait till tomorrow, sometimes is not worth it, because most times those kind of businesses are the ones that will put you into trouble. So it's a topic that we can keep talking from now till evening, but I think at this point in time, I would want to stop here, unless there are any other questions that, any other areas of clarification you'd want me to do.
Thank you. Excuse me. Thank you very much, sir, for the brilliant discussion. Thank you for the expose. You brought forth ideas and areas that even I was a bit, blind to. The part, I have a question. I don't know if anybody else has a question. You can raise your hand in the chat room and you'll be allowed to ask your question if you have a question. My question is this, sir. So the cost of getting an architect is not exactly very cheap. It's not, sometimes the cost of getting an architect, depending on what the architect is going to do, depending on the location of the land, sometimes the value of getting that architect can buy me land somewhere else. And some people are of the opinion that why spend so much to get an architect? Help me marry the place of the architect in the value at the end of the day. I don't know if you understand what I'm saying, sir. Of that property. Because some people feel, my brother has built, there's somebody that has been building in my neighborhood all these years. You should be able to come and build for me. Why do I need to get an architect?
Good. Well, thank you for that question. And I think I would need to disabuse people's minds of that misconception that architects are expensive. I'll give you a scenario. You're building a house of, let's say, 50 million. Now, the architect's fees, if you pay him 100%, because most times these fees are negotiable, the architect's fees based on the 1996 scale of fees is about 4.75% of the construction cost. Note you, construction cost. So the construction cost is, let's say, 50 million naira. Now, it takes him between design, and that amount is between preliminary design and supervision. This can take anything from 1 to 2 years. So he's asking for 4.75% for stretched over a 2-year period. Now, immediately he finishes building that house, or that house is completed, an agent that wants to sell that house will not sell it for 50 million. He could sell it for 70, he could sell it for 100 million. Most people will pay 5% agency fee. There on the spot, within a period of sometimes 1 week, sometimes 2 weeks, sometimes 1 month, 5%. And people argue that the architect is expensive. Even the legal fees, it's 5%. So please disabuse your minds from the notion that the architect is expensive. The architect brings value to the table. And they always say that quality is remembered long after cost has been forgotten. Whereas the contrary is the case. If you cut corners, a house is not something you build and you demolish tomorrow. It's for the long haul. And you don't want to come back home each day and each time you are coming by, you're asking whether one plumbing has gotten bad somewhere, or if the room is not well ventilated, or the room sizes are not adequate. Either they are too big or they are too small, or the person wasted your space. You live with that problem for the lifespan of the building. So it's always good to get the right professionals, and you'll be happy with what you get.
Thank you very much, sir. I also have
Thank
this
you.
other question that borders on what I see happening now in areas that have been previously developed. And for example, GRA in Lagos, where
Yeah.
there are a lot of
Yeah.
old houses that the family doesn't want to sell. What they are now doing is a 6-bedroom mansion is now being divided into, say, 6 flats. Sometimes they are being portioned into such small portions. I want to know the long-term, is this professionally advisable, and the long-term effects of this kind of activities, because they abound a lot. I have a client that has just divided her 6-bedroom mansion into two bedroom flats and 4 self-contained, and she refused to listen to all reasons. So I want to know, the architectural angle to things like that.
Well, every development in any state is governed by the laws of that state. And even the Supreme Court has, in a judgment which I think Lagos State took the federal government to court on who has jurisdiction over development control in the state. And it has been ruled that the states have absolute control over developments within their territory. Now, it's not just GRA, even old.
Hang on. Yeah, you said?
Even in old Ikoyi, you discover that a lot of those properties, you now
No,
have high-rise buildings
you buy the
sitting
one
on
like
them.
the bulb that you don't need to
Yes.
style. I'm not
Somebody
Please,
needs to
can we
mute them.
mute
because the reason
ourselves?
I'm buying this is because all the ones in the house have expanded to my dreads. So I'm not gonna wait. We'll just buy one that the
Hello,
style.
please, can we? Okay, please go on, sir.
All right. I hope the dreads are okay. All right. So as I was saying, it's strictly the prerogative of the planning authorities. GRA plots used to be very big. So you have a standard plot in GRA could be as big as 1,800 square meters.
800
It could
square
be as
meters.
big as, whereas your standard plot in Surulere or any of those other places, 600 square meters. So you already see that in one GRA plot, you have 3 or 4 standard plots. So there's that temptation to want to parcellate and sell. But there are planning regulations governing all of this, because in every area in Lagos, they have what they call density. The density in GRA is not the same as the density in Alausa, because GRA is supposed to be low density for those well off in society. So when you start parcellating into smaller bits, you are now introducing high density into a low density area. And in terms of the social status of the people who occupy both, a conflict starts arising. So that in old GRA, for instance, if you drive past with your Lexus or your Prado, nobody looks at you. But when you now have people who are lower in the social rungs and they see people who are much higher in the same neighborhood, there's bound to be that feeling of, oh, this one has, even when he works hard for his money, you say this one has stolen money, and the bad belly starts. So it is for those developments, I think we'll throw it on the doorsteps of the Lagos State Fiscal Planning Authorities, because they are the ones who approve those developments. Unless you're saying that those developments are not approved, then it becomes illegal, an illegal structure, and it could be pulled down any day. So that's why I say, first and foremost, you must get planning of a permit for every development you put up, because if you don't, one day when something happens next door to you, they say, oh, which are the buildings that don't have approval? Just because one building collapsed next to yours, they suddenly discover yours does not have approval. Say, okay, these are the type that are collapsing, and they demolish it. So it's always good to make sure you have your approvals, because tomorrow, if government wants to acquire that land for overriding public interest, which they have the powers to do, they will compensate you because you have legal authority to be on that land. But if you don't, then you will go and lick your wounds and nobody will listen to you. So yes, that's a real problem. But again, society is dynamic and the densities change. Like I was saying in Ikoyi, if you check the cost of land in Ikoyi, where you buy a plot of land for 2 billion naira, will you go and put up a block of 4 flats on that kind of land? Definitely not, because you have to recoup the cost of the land and also whatever you're putting on it. So that's why you're now seeing high-rise apartments in a lot of those old Ikoyi plots, so that the developers can have good returns on their investment. And even for the family too, you have a situation where a family has let's say your father lives behind a piece of land or a property for you in Victoria Island, and it's just a 3-bedroom bungalow. And somebody comes and tells you, look, let me pay you 1 billion naira to buy off this your house. You collect that 1 billion, go to Aja and put up a mansion for yourself, and you'll be a big person. So these things happen as society evolves. The demand for land becomes higher, and people are ready to pay higher premiums for those lands. And so if the offer is, they say every man has a price. If the price is good enough, you move, you collect it and move to some other place. Because, I mean, what are you doing in VI, a residential property VI, with all the hold up during the day and all the noise from traffic and all of that? You want to go to some estate that is quiet and you can enjoy lots of space and some level of serenity. So those are things that evolve with development. But in terms of putting up developments that impact on the comfort of those around, I've seen buildings where you can shake hands with the person in the next building through your window. The buildings are that close. That in itself is not good enough. If there happens to be a fire in any of those buildings, it will spread to the whole buildings around it. So there are reasons why some of these directives are given, that you should give some setbacks between buildings. You should give rights, because everybody has a right to air. You have a right to sunshine. When somebody builds and blocks your window and you cannot have good air, you can sue the person, because that is a right which you enjoy by virtue of your property being there. All right.
Thank you so much, sir.
Okay.
Very grateful. Does anybody have any questions? If you have any questions, you may want to unmute yourself and ask Architect Enyi Ebo at this time. If you have any comments or any contributions to the conversation, you might want to unmute your mic and say 1 or 2 things. Thank you very much, sir, for your presentation. We're delighted by the expose that you just gave us on this topic. So
it's a pleasure.
Yes, sir.
And please disabuse your mind from that notion that architects are expensive. Architects are not expensive. They give you value, and that value you cannot quantify in terms of Naira and Kobo. And again, these fees are negotiable. They are not cast in stone.
Thank you very much, sir. That was very, very relevant. I find that important because of conversations that come up when people are building and we raise some questions. Some of us have seen buildings and you see some things that don't seem to add up in buildings, and you say, okay, is this what your architect approved? And they tell you, architect, that one will come and collect all my money. And then somewhere down the line, something happens on 1 or 2 of those buildings. So I also know that the more value you put into putting up a structure, the more you are able to charge for it, because you can defend what you have put up there. You can defend the value of what is standing on that space. And those are part of the things that bring value. So 2 houses may be built, look alike, and one can be 16 million and the other can be 45 million. The difference is the value that went into constructing the building. The difference is the guarantee that the people who built are willing to give in exchange for the buildings that have been constructed. Thank you so much, sir, for your time.
All right, so thank you. It's a pleasure. Bye.
Thank you, sir.
All right.
Bye-bye. Very soon, we're going to be having the coordinator of the Lagos State Special Task Force on Land Grabbers. Before they come, I would just want to mention one or two things that resonated in the things that he said. He talked about building authorities. I was doing a research and I found out that the authorities that regulate building, that regulate real estate, sometimes in one transaction, sometimes in one construction, you can have up to 5 or 6 from the people who are giving you land title, from the people who are doing building survey, the surveying office, and they're giving you specific dimensions of what is your land, from the people, like he mentioned repetitively, the town planners, the regional planners, who are officers of the government who can tell you dimensions for everything. I was in one estate earlier this week where the government regulation, the government body that controlled the estate, they were on standby to pull down a building because it was violating town planning regulations. They are the ones that teach me that you need 3 meters between the fence and the building, certain dimensions on the side, certain dimensions in front. And those were some of the things that, were necessitating them pulling down the building, despite the fact that the owners had valid title. There's also Lagos State Real Estate Regulatory Authority. Very soon, we will bring them to come and enlighten us more on their activities. There are other regulatory bodies too. There are those that regulate estate valuers and estate managers. There are so many regulatory bodies in this space, and everybody has a charge. They have fees that they charge for their activities. They have fees that they charge those who register with them. And that is how come we have quacks. Because some people feel, why should I pay so much to register to be a part of the architects and Nigerian Institute of Architects? That is why some lawyers feel, why should I pay to be a member, to register with the MBA? I pay so much. Am I getting that much out of what I'm paying? These are some of the things that come up and that make us, that lead to quack transactions. And those quack transactions affect the value at the end of the day of our real estate. This conversation is about value. It's not just about everybody saying real estate, we jump in. It's about getting actual value. If we put in 2 naira, the best way to maximize that 2 naira and to get the best value out of it for all those who are, supposed to benefit from it. Because, for example, last area that is registering, if the transaction has an issue and the estate manager is registered, they have some kind of buffer. They have some people who can, they have some people who can testify to their credibility because they are registered. But where there is none of such, everybody has to answer their name, everybody has to represent themselves, everybody has to be there by themselves to, stand for themselves. So I think one of the things we need to do is to, as much as possible, try and register with relevant bodies and try and use professionals. So professionals are cheap upfront. What he explained to me, I never thought about it that way, that architect will charge a percentage that we will negotiate. But when agent is going to collect, he's going to collect the 5%. Lawyer is going to want to collect 10%, And people usually don't see, all those other angles. And those are the angles that make the transaction more secure. Those are the things we can do to secure the investment of clients. Those are the things we can do to secure our professional practice. Those are the things we can do to secure this industry, to bring in more people, to build credibility, to build trust, so that more people will be willing to invest, because people are beginning to see real estate as a Ponzi scheme. So these are the things we can do to bring in more people, to bring in more interest into this group. I would like us to know that this webinar is being recorded, and we are going to distribute the replay. We're going to send the replay. If we're not registered, if our emails are not registered, please, you could send in your emails through the chat box. They will be taken so that the replays of the seminar would also be sent to us individually. I believe that those from the Office of the Lagos State Anti-Grabbing Agency, they should be here by now. Let me reach out to them, because they were here a few minutes ago. Let me reach out to them. and find out what is happening. A particularly interesting part of this conversation for me is title and securing title. And this morning, we have with us the controller of the Lagos State, the coordinator of the Lagos, yes, sir, the Lagos State Special Task Force on Land Grabbers. Mr. Owolabi Ibrahim Arole is a legal practitioner who is currently on grade level 16. He's a deputy director in the Lagos State Ministry of Justice. He has 21 years experience in legal practice. He was born 5th January 1970 and attended Usman Danfodio University, where he bagged the Bachelor of Law, LLB Hons degree between 1988 and 1999, after which he was subsequently called to the Nigeria Bar between 2000 and 2001. In his quest for continuous professional and personal development, he acquired knowledge in various aspects, including advanced arbitration and mediation, land use charge dispute adjudication, dispute resolution, effective leadership skills. Mr. Owolabi Arole is a seasoned legal practitioner with several years of experience in litigation, criminal and civil litigation. He was employed into the State Civil Service in 2001. He has worked as a counsel in the Directorate of Criminal Prosecution, Directorate of Civil Litigation, Ministry of Physical Planning and Urban Development, Administrator General and Public Trustee, and Ministry of Waterfront Infrastructural Development, before he was posted to Lagos State Special Task Force on Land Grabbers. This traverse of legal practice has given him a wide range of professional experience. It is obvious he knows a lot about this sector from different angles. Without much ado, I would like to appreciate Mr. Ibrahim Owolabi Arole for gracing us with his presence and giving him the floor to educate us on the activities, the people, the investors' confidence, knowing that the government can secure their interests. You have the floor, sir.
Good afternoon, my lady. It's very Bimpe.
And
I am privileged to be invited to this topic and the program. My name is Owolabi Arole. I'm the coordinator of Lagos State Special Task Force on Land Grabber, Ministry of Justice. So, what the topic you gave to me was the procedure of the task force and the activities of the government in protecting genuine landowners against the activities of land grabbers.
Yes, sir.
You recall that prior to the enactment of the Lagos State Property Protection Law, the issue of unlawful entry and forceful takeover of land was rampant in Lagos State. The reason is not far-fetched. Lagos State being an urban center by virtue of the decision of all lands in Lagos, pursuant to the Land Use Regulation Act of 1981 and Section 94 of the Land Use Act. As limited accessibility to land, hence competitive, and the fall out of this is what people have resorted to various underhand tactics in order to have their hand on these scarce and limited resources. I mean, lands. And you recall that even in Lagos State as of today, our oil is land. We have limited land resources in Lagos State because we are covered by, we are in a tropical environment, surrounded by water. So the little land that is available is under competition by so many people, both in ingress and egress citizens of Lagos, those that want to live in Lagos at all costs, both indigenous and foreigners that want to invest in Lagos State. The Lagos State being a proactive government, sponsored a bill to the Lagos State House Assembly for the enactment of a law in 2016. And it should be noted that this law has shortcomings and does not adequately address issues that may arise in the course of the enforcement. So we are trying to see how we can, review, to meet the journey and aspiration of the teeming Lagos population. What I mean in this direction is that, there are lacunas as to the enforcement. The issue of option on fines is an encumbrance, an impediment that people now rely that the worst that could happen is for you to take me to court and ask that I should go and pay a fine or option on fine or this and that. So we are contemplating a situation where we want to remove the option on fine. So whatever, being a strict liability offense, if you should be charged and convicted for that offense, you must go for it. So the deterrent to be at your instance. So know that what you are doing is against the law. However, the issue at hand, most those are the end at private developer. If you should understand this, those that are willing to develop the real estate developers in Lagos State, they are the one that is having issue. They are the one that is even, when you invest millions or billions of naira on a certain project or on a certain business, and you are not allowed to take full charge of such investment, you'll be discouraged to go or add more to what is, into it. So, so the framework of the Lagos State Private Protection Law is going to highlight the salient position of the law, so that it will assist us in ensuring that we know what we are talking about. Being a strict liability offense under the Lagos State Private Protection Law, if you look at Section 2 of the law, this one prohibits forceful land takeover. You understand what I mean by that? Forceful land takeover. That means even if somebody enters your land, I want to get it back from him. You are not allowed to take the law into your hands by engaging thugs, street urchins, and miscreants to help you recover your land back. You have to follow the process of the law. Before the commencement of this law, people usually devise several methods or different methods to grab lands. Even they find it very, very boring to go to court for to recover. It takes you close to 10 years before you can get judgment. Even while all the facts have been placed before the court, concerning the rudiment and the rigor that you are going to encounter in the course of litigating your case. People are discouraged. So Section 3 talks about violence. That you are not allowed to enter into the land by violence, by engaging in maybe applying cutlass or gun or all these leather weapons to claim back your land. You must follow the process, and you are not allowed to legally occupy another person's property. We have series of cases, at our hand that borders on where a tenant will be living in a certain place. Maybe after 5 years or 7 years, he will refuse to pay rent. All what we running for is that he has been living there for so many years, and you cannot be forced to, all those things are not allowed by our law. You cannot just acquire somebody's property. Even if you see a situation where somebody was maybe legally ejected from a house and he found an uncompleted building, he will carry all his family and what have you, and start staying in the other person's place. And laying claim to it that by section 40 of the law of the Constitution, it's a power to live, you have the right of life or to live in the property, to own the property or to all those things. When you notice or discover the argument, you'll be amazed that a lawyer will be fronting for such person to claim that yes, by constitution, he has the constitutional right to live anywhere he likes in Nigeria. Must you live in another person's property? All those things. So the law is found at that too. Section 5 of our law, is go against the engaging service of land agents. You know what I mean by land agents? They call themselves land agents. They are land grabbers. Their responsibility is to assist you to forcibly grab a land. Even if there is a conflict, dispute between two parties or two families or among families, one of the sections of the family will go and engage an agent. He said it's an agent to come and help him fight for his right of his father on his fatherland or the motherland. So people are they are using that they are cheating him on his inheritance. So you go and engage the service of land agent to come and recover the land back for him. So all this is found out by our law. So don't expect you to go and engage the service of land agent. And the legal use of law enforcement agent. This is a common practice in the society these days, particularly in Lagos State. It's a common practice. If you have the highest bidder, you have money and you have the means, all what you need to go and do is to go and go to any law enforcement agent, give them something to help you recover back your land, and they will now cook up a certain allegation, certain charge. To say maybe you threat to life, you are threatening that person's life, and you are shunting him, you want to kidnap him, this and that. They will just use that one as a habit to enter into the matter so that they can have a say in it. That no, we are not concerned about land. What we are concerned about is, the security of life and property. We don't want anybody to, all those things. So the law is, front at that too. So the section 6 talk about the encroachment or encroaching with a weapon. You want to enter into property now. Like I said earlier on, you understand? You now engage the miscreants. You equip them with weapons so that they can assist you in getting access to the land and stay there perpetually. All these things is not what the law, what our law, encourage. So the offense of land grabbing is a strict liability offense. Hence, you need to prove the element of actus and mensura altogether. In our section 2712, the section 12 is the one that established the office and interpowers the Lagos State House of Land Grabber. That section 12 is one that established this office to look into the affairs of land issue, land grabbing, and land disputes outside the what do you call it? The purview of the court. We avoid. So the section 14 give us the decision to charge and anybody that will feel is a land grabber to court in such cases. That section 14 is the part that give court social affairs court jurisdiction to entertain our cases. You know, there's a difference between having a law and how to enforce that law. You know, you understand what I mean?
Yes, sir.
You have a law, and there must be a provision for you to enforce that law. So if the law is created, and there's no that who want to interpret the law, who want to make the enforcement, you know, of that law real. You understand? So that, and it's the common law within the terms of real estate developer that the Lagos State government has designed as designated as an urban area. You know, everybody knows that even Lagos State as today, as it were now, is an urban center. You know, and there are many gazettes in respect of this acquisition of land issue. You want to acquire land in Lagos State. There are procedures you need to follow. I hope you understand my point. For property developer within Etiosa, Ibejuleki, as it is a notorious gazette number 20, from 20 dated 15 May 1993, which extinguished by way of revocation of all customary right of ownership. You understand what I mean by that?
All the land in Etiosa.
Yes.
Wow.
All the land in Etiosa. Yes.
Extinguish customary ownership on all the land in Etiosa.
No, you know, there's a gazette. No, I'm not saying all. Within the Etiosa local government, you know.
Hello.
Gazette number 20, volume 26, dated 15 May 1990, which extinguished by way of revocation of all customary right of ownership. So when it's a global, call it global acquisition. Maybe I don't know whether you are aware of it.
Yes, sir.
I hope you understand what I mean. It is
Yes,
a global
sir.
acquisition on the Etiosa local government.
Yes, sir.
Even in the mainland, yes, we have 7,300 acres of 1969 acquisition, which comprises majority of the lands of the mainland. Are you aware of that?
No, I'm just saying of it.
7,100.
Wow.
7,200 acres of land, 1969 acquisition. You understand? So wow. Lagos State has control over practically all land in Lagos, and any prudent developer should approach Lands Bureau and apply under.
We lost you, sir. Or is it my own network? Please, can we confirm? Please, can you unmute yourself if you can hear me, or let me know if it is network? Hello, sir. I think it is network. It's giving out some very interesting piece of information there.
Hello, are you, hello?
Yes, sir. We lost you a bit there, sir.
Okay, yes.
When you were talking about the 1968 acquisition on the mainland.
It is not 1969.
1969.
7,300 acres of land was acquired in 1969, which comprises the majority of land on the mainland. Yes. The unwholesome activities of the brought about loss of confidence by private developer and potential buyer of land in Lagos State, as most of them are often swindled and other times made to pay for a particular property several times. You know, when you bought land from Monile, another section of the Monile will come to tell you that this who sold land to you does not have that such right. It's not accredited representative of the family, so you have to purchase the land. Another section will come to tell you that look, we have judgment against those people that sold land to you. All this stuff, you know, is a common knowledge in Lagos State. You know, also all these things are, you know, we try to discourage such practice. You know. And it is very incumbent on any potential buyer of land. That will give you credence to pursue, even if there is any infraction that is occasion as a result of the purchase of that land. You can have the levy or the platform to ventilate your case. If you have a registered title, that I hope you are getting my point.
Yes, sir. I'm with you, sir.
Hello.
Hello, sir. Can you hear me? Hello.
Hello.
Can you hear me? I can hear you. Can you hear me, sir?
Hello. Okay, I can hear you.
Okay, I can hear you, sir.
Okay.
So
these are the procedures, and so we need to encourage ourselves to ensure that whatever area we are going to concentrate on the issue of land matter in Lagos State, you are able to put your record straight by ensuring that you register your title document and follow due process of the law to ensure that you are not on the wrong hand. So in order to drastically reduce incidents of land grabbing and encourage private developer, the Lagos State Property Protection Law established a task force to enforce the provision of the law and vest in it the power to arrest in pursuance of the law alongside any other law enforcement unit or agency of government in the state. While jurisdiction in respect of the offence under the law was granted to the Special Offences Court. So we have the power to arrest whoever is alleged to have committed an infraction on land issue or illegally encroach on another person's land or forcibly take over another person's property or use violence to recover possession or engages in land diligent to assist in the ensuring recovery of land or surround himself with weapons. I hope you understand. Surround himself with weapons to ensure recovery of landed property. So, I just want to define what is possession. Maybe you don't mind.
yes, sir.
Possession, according to the Radical Encyclopedia, is the action of either a considerable degree of physical things, such as land, with definite intention of ownership. Hence, possession is 9/10. That's the law. When you are talking of ownership of land, it must be possession 9/10 or 90% in possession. Why? What is possession? Possession, at least, if you are not yet built, but you should be able to take possession by erecting a fence around the land to identify that this is the area that yes. So it is one evidence of the right of ownership. I mean, possession is the primary evidence of right of ownership. Hence, this right is given against everyone except the rightful owner, and there's always an implied covenant to declare possession pursuant to Section 4 of the Lagos State Property Protection Law. You understand the point?
Yes, sir.
Under Section 4 of our law, a person who is occupying a property as an enclosure after having entered as such on behalf of the owner of the property commit an offense. If it is discovered that the property you are acquiring does not belong to you, and you don't have any statutory right or any authority or any power of attorney donated to you by the acclaimed owner of that land, and it is discovered that you are on that land illegally, what is the equivalent of you to leave the land? Failure to do so will be labeled as an offender. You understand what I mean?
Yes, sir.
As an offender. So it's in any landed property. It is pertinent to note that anyone who is interested or desirous of acquiring property in Lagos State should ensure that it does due diligence by verifying if the rented property is free from any form of encumbrance or acquisition before investing in such project. Furthermore, that such property is duly registered for third-party claim in future. That's what I said earlier, that you must ensure that at least you register your title so that nobody can come to the other hand to say that yes, I'm the rightful owner, or maybe you went to import a document or import a document, or he was the first person to register that title, and deduction of the first in term may apply.
Yes.
So in that circumstance, you are advised that whenever you are buying land, you must ensure that at least due process is done. Ensure you register your title and you get your the consent of the government on such property. So to give you a kind of confidence and peace of mind. It's however noteworthy that the inception of the Lagos State Rural Protection Law has brought about a new dawn to the real estate world, thereby give full armor and protection to investors who may use to invest in real estate. The role of Lagos State government, headed by this present government, Mr. Governor, Mr. Babajide Sanwo-Olu, in ensuring the continual protection of property and their owners in Lagos State cannot be overemphasized. However, in order to maximally achieve the aim of the Lagos State Property Protection Law and to also active on land grabber, all property owners and developers should ensure that they conduct search. That's what I emphasize on. You must ensure that you conduct search before you embark or put your hand in such a transaction to ascertain that there isn't any registered interest on the property before you purchase it. You understand? Yes, so our agents, our task force, we work in collaboration with agents of government to curtail activities of land grabbers. You understand?
Yes, sir. You were breaking at a point there.
Hello? I said maybe I should repeat that.
Yes, sir. You were breaking there.
I said the Lagos State Task Force. Hello?
Yes, sir.
Hello? Yes. I said the Lagos State Task Force on land grabber always work in collaboration with other agencies of government. Okay. To curtail the activities of land grabbers in Lagos State. So, subject to the provision of our law, which give us the impetus to work in collaboration with other agencies of government, for as a sort of connecting purposes to ensure that at least all these things put a stop to the activity of land grabber. As we are determined to pursue land grabbing to the very end and ensure sanity in the real estate industry. So that's our our activities. And so far we are we have made a profound achievement since the inception of this law. But we're having some land grabber that be under trial at the magistrate court, and several achievements have been made by this office. And some of the cases are also settled between parties to ensure that at least peace reign in the environment that they are habitating. So these are the things that at least we have done. So land grabbing is a common act of some unscrupulous elements. Because you don't have any other means of livelihood than to go on that. But we are trying to discourage such menaces and activities of these people. And with the support of the so-called prospective real estate developers to cooperate with us to ensure that they do not fall prey of land grabbing by patronizing unscrupulous acclaimed landowner and pursuing cheaper land. What do you call it? Cheaper land. It's surprising to that. When somebody claimed that he bought a land in Etosa for 10 million naira, I still not be sued. When you consider the value of the land in that corridor, it's not that if anybody to come and tell you that it's somebody that brought me to the land and I paid him 10 million naira and he issued me receipt and that. Wondering that, well, did you do due diligence in this or this thing? And somebody will tell, and the practice normally do. They will show you a surface land, a dry land that to it. By the time you
Sorry, sir, I didn't get you there. You said the way they.
By the time I want to settle with them, they will not take you to a swampy area. Where we take place. So we have a lot of. Hello.
Yes.
Hello.
Hello, I can hear you now. You were breaking. You said when they want to start, they take you to an office or something.
A surface land.
Okay, surface land.
A dry area. Yes, a dry area. By the time you want to settle to come and start building, they say, nah, that place has been sold. Unfortunately, it was a mistake of taking you there. So we will relocate to another place, and they go and put you in a place that a swampy area or waterlogged area that in the next 10 years, no developer will get there. So we have series of cases like that. And in case of all these land acquisition, agriculture, all these things. So we have an issue of that in our at our hands too. So it's not something that can be tackled once and for all. It's a continuous process, And I want to appreciate that the Lagos State Commissioner of Police is really trying to assist in ensuring that at least our work is, our enforcement is carried out expeditiously and yes. So you'll be surprised that this land grabbing they have connections to every area, even including FCC and other police force. They have connections. They are working like network in their network. Yes.
Wow.
They are syndicated that they have their snitch everywhere. So we encounter a lot of orders, and we will not relate our effort. We not relate in our efforts to curb the menaces as it progresses. So that's yes. So at least that's my submission.
Wow.
Maybe any question to be asked.
Thank you so much, sir. It has been an eye-opening session for somebody like me. You have said some things that I consider very interesting. I'm sure some other people too, some thoughts are running around their mind as they're listening to you. Okay, if you have questions, please let's begin to show interest. Somebody has shown, Fumi Ebofin has registered, has mentioned that she has a question. You can go ahead, unmute yourself and ask your question.
Hello, good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon, my lady.
Okay, Bimpe, how are you? Good afternoon to you too. Well done. Sir, please, I have a few questions for you. I don't know if
Yes.
it would oblige me with a bit of clarification. Now, Lagos State,
Yes.
at the rate of development at which we are going in Lagos State, we are beginning to overlap into Ogun State. There are some other towns in Lagos State that has, like I used to know a house somewhere in Yakoyo a few years back,
Yes.
or somewhere around Ojodubega axis, and then the land there, there used to be a joke that the sitting room was in Lagos State and then the bedroom was in Ogun State.
Ogun State, yes.
Yes, real life issue is somebody that is very, very close to me that used to own that property has sold. Now, is there any plans in the pipeline between Lagos State and Ogun State for there to be something like this task force in Ogun State, whereby Lagos State and Ogun State can work hand in hand when you find such situations? The example I gave is a building, but I know that there are situations where there's just a street that is the demarcation between Lagos State and Ogun State. Yes, and then these things overlap, So when such situations come up, and maybe the thing involved finds out that his property is in state, but he's handicapped.
Hello.
Because the land is not located in Lagos State. It's not. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you now. We can hear you.
Hello, can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Hello?
Yes, we can hear you.
I can hear
Hello?
you.
Okay. Yes. So find out that some of these properties, because they are so close to Lagos State, person lives in Lagos State, works in Lagos State and all that, but finds himself in this kind of situation, but cannot, benefit from these provisions of Lagos State. So is there any form of work, any plans in the pipeline for Lagos State and Ogun State to work hand in hand, especially with these border towns? Not only in terms of this land grabbers issue, other issues too, developmental issues, the roads and other infrastructures. That is one. Then two, I know you said your office, you deal with land grabbers, when you have issues with money and all that. And then you've also mentioned, like we all know, that a buyer has a duty to do his due diligence. But sir, let me give you an example that I have at hand. A purchaser did due diligence, obtained CTC copies from Alausa for a land in Lagos State, bought the land, started the process of obtaining a governor's consent on the land, obtained the governor's consent, and then the file was transferred to the registry for proper registration. It was at the point of registration that it was now discovered that there was actually a mortgage loan on that property. Now we are stuck. So can we say fully that a purchaser that in his own wisdom, did the proper thing and with records to show, but because of maybe lapses in the system, a situation that is not palatable through no fault of his. All right. So can the state government be held to ransom?
Hello.
Some kind of situation. Homework with proper city certified true copies and receipts to show that these searches were done. Yet somewhere down the line there was a loophole. So if it was a situation, thank God it was a state government that was involved in this kind of situation. Well, it's not the state government that was involved. It is an umbrella issue, so to say. Like it's being discussed here. Somebody bought a land and there's a lapse in the system. Okay, and then Omonile comes up tomorrow and says, that this property is not yours. But the person that bought did proper searches. But there's a lapse in the system. Like we all know, there are loopholes here and there. So anything can go wrong. So is there anything that your authority can do to assist such a person in that kind of situation? That is two. Then three, so my third question is this. What can the process for approaching the land grabbers office in Lagos State be more believe me, sir, very few people are still aware of this office. I know I've had to, yes, a lot of people are not aware that this office is in existence. I personally have had to direct people to your office that if they have language, I just say, go to Alausa now. Hey, they don't know that there's an office like that. So can there be more awareness, and then let people know that the process of approaching your office is very easy, and the process can be done. I know you mentioned that you have cases at the magistrate court and all that, Sometimes these cases run for... Sorry, sir?
Special offenses court.
Special offenses court.
Special offenses, yes.
Magistrate
Okay,
court.
yes, special offenses, yes, sir. You know, and we know the way this thing, some of these cases run for months, sometimes years, and then some people are frustrated.
And always at the instance of the defendant.
Yes, now they're the ones that always
Always
have
at the
to
instance of the defendant.
yes,
Just to frustrate the process.
the case, yes. But I know that some of our judges are beginning to clamp down on some of this attitude of the defender and their counsels. You know, a defender comes to court and is asking for a 6 weeks adjournment. I mean, for what? You know?
For what? I will call it summary. I will call it summary court.
And somebody is asking for 6 weeks adjournment.
And the summary is lasting for 18 months. I mean, what's the summary in that? So, sir, these are some of the issues that I know that, you know, the other people like Bimpe and myself, that we do the legwork, you know, we experience from a day-to-day basis. I don't know if you could look at these issues for me, sir.
Yes, let me first of all comment on your first question, the issue of Jodubega area. You know, that thing borders on, that thing borders mostly on boundary. It's a boundary issue. So it's not that that's not like land grabbing or land disputing that direction. It's a boundary issue that need to be tackled between Lagos and Ogun State. Maybe there are areas that we need to address. You know, there are gray areas, you know, because we have been entangled together. If you can recollect, you know, the development has brought us together now. The kind of what do you call it, the population explosion has brought us together, has entangled us. So you cannot differentiate between Lagos and Ogun State when you get to Buwe or Isheri. I was passing by one area in this what do you call it, Opik Estate.
Yes.
And they are describing to me that by the left is from Ogun State, by the right is from Lagos State. It's a road difference that, you know, it's a road that differentiates the area. Yes. So, you know, so it's a boundary issue.
Just sorry to cut you short, sir. The road issue that you mentioned now, I lived at Alagbole axis for several years.
Yes, I know.
The compound next to mine where I lived, in the same compound, this our pillar, the pillar that demarcates between Lagos and Ogun State, is inside that compound, sir.
So that one is a boundary.
And then the house I lived in, I understand that the house is actually under Lagos State, but because of Lagos Wahala, the person obtained CFO from Ogun State.
Ben, can you imagine? So you know, so it is a boundary issue that is likely need to address from the, you know, it's beyond my office. It's a state and Ogun State I will need to deal with that, you know. So the authorization of consent that you mentioned, that, you know, when your clients, you know, bought a property and in the process of, you know, obtaining governance consent, it was glad that there was mortgage on the property. In every there's no perfect government. If you want to agree with me, there is no perfect government, both even inside, in and out of the country. There is no perfect government. So in every area that at least we are being given what do you call it, responsibility and schedule, that you see there are some unscrupulous elements who are, you know, using the opportunity of being of that sort to circumvent the system, you know, to the person who just selfish to the extent that it doesn't concern, it doesn't, you know, government image doesn't concern him, doesn't have anything to do with such. Or what is after is what is going to come to his pocket. So that fact must have been hidden by the person who is assisting the process of that government consent. There's no way you want to, you know, make a search on a certain property that, you know, such fact will not have been exposed. But maybe you overlook that area so that it won't hinder.
Yes, I think the challenge we had at that time, well, the excuse we were giving was that it was at the time where the digitalization was going on, you know, and files were being carried up and down, you know, and that maybe that file at that time had not been updated. you know. So it was probably that
we want to believe that excuse is extendable. Does that before the commencement of the direction of that office, was
Yeah.
there no procedure that been in place before? So just such procedure must have been followed. You know, digitalization or digitalization is not an issue. You know, when I came to this office, you know, there are some discrepancies, lapses that I trying to put in place. If anything should wrong with that, I'll be held responsible for it. They won't go back to the previous officer that was managing the office. It is me that inherited the assets and liability, or that will be responsible for it. You know.
Yeah.
So these are the things that we need to just, you know. So it's a syndication of unscrupulous element that that perpetrated as what do you call it? That act. You know, under normal circumstances, supposed to have discovered that at the initial stage, that is, because of the search, to know that at least there is an encumbrance on the property, which is the mortgage, and the person who sold the property, all what you have done is to go back and pay the mortgage to discharge the encumbrance on the property. But because of the connivance, criminal connivance between him and the person who is assisting the process, and the person who is charged with responsibility to take charge of the custody of the documents. So I wouldn't want to talk much on that. So the third point on the issue of sensitization, if you recollect, if you are following us, you recollect that in 2021 we carried out a sensitization program, stakeholders program, in both Ikorodu and Ibejuleki. This year, sometimes in March, I could maybe if I should check my record. It was on the 21st of March. It was 17th of March. We held one stakeholders meeting in Badagry. So we put our point of call was in Ojo, so you can accommodate both Ajeromi Felodu, Ojo local government, Badagry, and Muwodofi. So, and the moneyless and the chiefs, cabaces were present. The turnout was impressive, and we should try to educate them on the implication of land grabbing and what needs to be done. The same thing applies. We started our sensation in Kudu last year, and all these media carried the program, both LTV8, CCTV. I mean, what do you call it? CCTV. What do you call it? Continental television. They carried it, and they read it.
TVC.
Yes, TVC. They carried TVC. They carry it, and we try to educate or sensitize public about the implication of land grabbing and what should need to be done. And we have received what do you call it, response. It increases the level of the pension we receive every day. That sensation alone, jarred up our what do you call it, the response. So several people comes and they tell us that they came and they tell us that these are the avenue that they got our information and this and that. So we are trying our best. Even when you are talking of that, when you are saying that some people are not aware of this, even if you are talking of reporting of crime, some people tell you that they don't know that they're supposed to go to police station to go and report a crime. So these are the. So it's not an issue that is surprising, So we are trying our best, and I feel before the end of second quarter of this year, we are going to just our local government. That one will cover mainland, and or maybe we want to go to Ikeja. Ikeja comprises of Ikeja, Agege, what do you call it? Fakojaye,
Egbeda.
Even Ojobi.
Yes, it's under Ikeja. Ojobi is under Ikeja.
Yes.
So yes, it covers what do you call it?
Yanopaja, Egbeda, Ikotun.
Yes, Cotton, all those stuff. We what is the popular local community there? So these are the places that we need to go. So we are going, we are coming there. So you are not yet aware. We are still bringing the sensitization to your doorstep. Due course.
Okay. I hope and then they will also involve your money leaders in that area, all the ballets and all that.
We do invite all of them. We invite the public stakeholders. We invite public, both the artisans, both the educated, both the educated and all of that, and the ballets and KBC. You know, these two although indulge in all these unscrupulous activities.
Yes, even when somebody wants to renovate, they are still attacking the person to come and pay for some of for renovation.
So they are the one. Yes, they are the one hitting them. Will you be surprised when somebody came to my office when we are because of our meeting with them? Somebody was telling me that it's their right to collect dues, to collect foundation, decking, and roofing dues. I said, what do you mean? It's a crime. It's a criminal offense for for that. Why are you not the one that sold the land today? You have sold both what it did and quick plan also said it. You know, it was that what it on the land. So what are you talking about? You sold all your rights in that respect. So you don't come to one about to ask you for any other fees. Who are you? So all this also, you know. So they may not know. Maybe they are not aware that it's a criminal offense. You know, before the commencement of this law, there are some activities that have been going on, and they are used to do such activities. So it's not to discourage them. That look, this what you are doing is contrary, is repugnant to law, to the law that is in place. So, if you don't tell them, they may not know. So these are the things that we are trying to put forward to them so that they can be sensitized, they can be educated on it.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much, sir. Thank you very much, sir.
Yes, sir.
And because this your field is very crucial to building confidence. Me too, I have two questions, but a very straightforward. What is the procedure of approaching Lagos State Task Force on land grabber? What's the procedure? Do we come by petition? What do we do exactly?
The procedure is that you put up a petition to the office of the Attorney General. Attorney General is the chairman of the task force. I'm just I'm the coordinator and the alternate chairman. It's not all the time that the chairman will be available to attend to all cases of this picture. He has so many plethora of issues to contend with his office, so he has to delegate. So part of the delegated power is what I'm standing on.
Okay.
So you write your petition to the office of the Attorney General and Commissioner for Justice, and your attention the coordinator, Lagos State Special Task Force of Land Grabber. You state your case, you tell us what happened, and you give us the address of the alleged land grabber or encroachers on your land, and you attach whatever documents that you may have, like title documents, survey, purchase receipt, and what have you. What the law connotes as title documents. So you attach all those things to it, and you depose to a verified affidavit. Confirming that whatever fact you are placing before us is true and correct. So you don't just go because of malice or a bad belly. You just go and put somebody's name on your petition to claim that is a land grabber. And so in case of that, so if it turns out to be false, you can charge you for perjury. So we have to we discourage such situation. So in that circumstance, so we now submit the office of the Honorable Attorney General. Automatically, it will get back to me for action. Okay. So that is a simple process, a simple process. So and immediately I receive it, I will apply the receipt immediately and request for more information if necessary. And if there's no information, we'll call you for a meeting. Then we can be able to extract some information from you. Then we'll proceed to the main complaint that you made. So in the course of our findings, if there are need for us to investigate even the document you are claimed to have, we'll call for it and we'll investigate it and confirm that you are the actual owner of such property.
Okay. That's the first thing. The second thing is you mentioned property. Is it only properties, if I want to come and complain now, is it only properties that have C of O that you, or maybe excision? Is it only properties with government registered title that you recognize as title that, you know, that you can proceed to defend on behalf of the person?
You recollect that when I was talking, when I was making responding to your question, I said what the law connotes as a title document. You know, that there are cases that, you know, the Supreme Court, you know, and then itemize the condition of owning a good title of on a landed property. You know, so the family purchase receipt, survey, and long possession, and, you know, a family history of, you know, a truly ownership on that. But we need to have of until where there is a conflict between title, on a title documented, where there is a conflict of title, we try to not to dampen it. You know, we advise that parties should go to court and ventilate that. It is where in the absence of where is paying claim of title something and another person does not possess any other thing, then we can commence action on that. You cannot use force or dubious means to claim that does not belong to you.
Okay. I observed from your comment that you talked about parties resolving. That means you also encourage ADR at some point, if it's possible.
Definitely, if the court should be propagating such move, who are we to not to comply with such a direction? If the court encourages that, if the court propose that, if the court are the proponent of ADR, so why would we encourage such between parties if that can settle it's the shortest way of settling issues rather than going through the rigor of litigation. So we encourage that too.
Okay. So what if I now, you said it's a criminal offense, but the penalties are only fines. Am I correct? What's the penalty if I said, assuming you then find that, okay, the person who is found guilty of land grabbing, what's the penalty? What are the penalties?
The penalty.
Excuse me. What are the penalties?
The penalties is vary by virtue of the portion of our law. But the minimum penalty is 5 years imprisonment with an option of fine, and we have one for 21 years imprisonment with an option of fine. So what you are finding out is that if you are saying yes, you find somebody guilty, and you will be subject to conviction, and you're asking for option of fine. A land grabber can afford. You can go and sell the land dispute and use the money to pay for the fine that it was charged for. So we want to discourage such a situation. That's why we beg for the. That's why we beg for the review of the law, so that it will not in that good process of such section.
Well, okay, thank you so much, sir. Thank you. We appreciate your time. This has been very educative for me. I don't know, has this been educative for anybody else? Can you type in the comments in the chat room that you learned a thing or two? I've learned a lot of things. I'm able to understand the activities of the Lagos State Land Grabbers Task Force a lot more. I'm able to know what to do if I want to proceed to them. At least I even know what to expect. I know what to expect from activities with you. We want to appreciate you for your time. We thank you for devoting so much to us. We know we've taken out of your busy schedule for today. We won't mind releasing you now to proceed with some of the things based on our previous discussions. Thank you so much for your time. Can we please type thank you to him in the comment in the chat room? Let's type thank you, sir.
I appreciate your
thank you very much, sir.
You are most welcome, man. You are most welcome. I appreciate your efforts and the encouragement you are giving to us to ensure that at least we are known, and we should be
Yes,
known,
sir.
and people should understand our mandate and activities. You are most anything. I'm always available for any issue that borders on land grabbing.
Thank you very much, sir.
Yes, ma'am. Have a wonderful day.
You too, sir.
Bye.
Okay, so that was the coordinator of the Lagos State Special Task Force on land grabbers, and he has talked about a lot of things. He mentioned the Lagos State Property Protection Law. I didn't know there was such a law in Lagos State as Lagos State Property Protection Law. I think I will do a bit more research on it. Actually, there's so much of an overlap in a lot of these things. Sometimes it can be overwhelming. If we that were practitioners, we feel like this, I wonder how the common man on the road who knows very little, I wonder how he feels. But we are the ones that can bring a collated, concerted information to them that can make them build confidence, that can make them have a basic understanding with which they can invest. Because we always say that you shouldn't invest in anything without information. The first thing you should invest in is yourself, so you understand what you are going to be discussing. Very soon, we are going to be having the director, Mr. M. Kolawole Dia. He is the founding partner of Dia Fatimilenyi and Co. I'm sure we know Dia Fatimilenyi. How many of us know Dia Fatimilenyi? I've known Dia Fatimilenyi now for maybe about 32, 33 years. First time I saw the signboard was on the street of my father's house many, many years ago. He's an estate manager. I'll soon be reading his profile. Let's see. Okay, he's not in yet. While he's coming in, I would just like to point out that in my conversations with, in the discussion with the coordinator, his explanation made some activities a bit clearer. You know, there are some portions of land when you are talking about them with certain homonyms. When you get to the law enforcement agencies in that their area, they have a pre-arranged response to your questions. Now I understand this. There is a syndicate that is behind it, but we're not going to give up our land because there's a syndicate. We're going to keep pushing back because it has come this far because we didn't push back. So we're going to push back until we push them to a standstill. Yeah. Let me reach across to Mr. Fatimile. Has Mr. Fatimile been letting? I understand that. Has Mr. Kolawole Dia been letting? I understand that he's waiting to come in. He's waiting to come in. He's waiting to come in. What is happening here? Okay, we are glad to have with us now the presence of Mr. M. Kolawole Dia. He is the founding partner of Dia Fatimileyin and Co., a foremost real estate firm that pioneered the revolution in delivering real estate services in Nigeria in the 80s. He's also the country director of the internationally renowned real estate brand Remax, the world's largest real estate firm. He has over 40 years experience in business.
I can't hear you.
Sir? As I was saying, he has over 40 years experience in the real estate sector and in property development and management, both University, Ile-Ife, Osun State. Mr. M. Kolawole Dia is an associate of the Nigerian Institute of Estate Surveyors and Valuers, ANENS, associate member of the Institute of Revenue Rating and Valuation, London, LRRV, as well as member of the Nigerian Institute of Management, NMIM. In addition, he is a fellow of the Institute of Directors, London, and a senior certified valuer, SCV, of the International Real Estate Institute, USA. Mr. Dia also has vast experience in project management, marketing, investment, hospitality services, and more. He serves on the board of various companies and organizations and is happily married with children. I would like us to receive Mr. Dia to come and talk to us about the other side of real estate from his vast world of experience. We are very honored to have you in our midst this afternoon, sir. You are very welcome, and you can have the floor, sir. Can you hear me? If you can hear me, please let me know.
Hello?
I can hear you, sir.
Hello? Can you hear me?
We can hear you, sir. I can hear you, sir.
I can't hear you.
Can we hear him? If we can hear him, please let us.
Well, I can't hear you.
We can hear you, sir.
Hear me, maybe I should just go on, right?
Maybe try unmuting yourself.
Should I just go on?
If you are muted, try unmuting yourself, sir.
Let me just go on. I can't hear you, so I won't be able to take questions unless the audio improves. But I think I should just go on, hoping that the audio will improve with time. Is that okay by everybody? Okay, thank you very much. So the question you asked is, what is real estate? We're talking about the other side of real estate. Now, when you are the topic, the other side of real estate presupposes that there are two sides to real estate, which, strictly speaking, is true. You are either the player in the industry or you are the mediator in the industry. The mediators are the agents, the buyers and sellers, and and all of that, the estate surveyors and all that. Then the players are the active participants in the industry, those who make it happen. So the question you ask yourself is, what exactly is real estate? Because everybody now uses the terms with reckless abandon. Real estate is the land along with any permanent improvements attached to the land. In other words, what it constitutes real estate is, whether man-made or natural, real estate is the land along with any permanent improvements attached to the land, such as water, trees, minerals, buildings, homes, fences, and bridges. Real estate is a form of real property. It differs from personal property, which are things that are not permanently attached to the land, such as vehicles, boats, jewelry, furniture, and farm equipment. Real estate is a class of real property. Now, take note of the word. Real estate is a class of real property that includes land and anything permanently attached to it, whether natural or man-made. So let us try to understand real estate. Oftentimes, people use the terms land, real estate, and real property interchangeably, but there are some subtle distinctions. Land refers to the earth's surface down to the center of the earth and upwards to the airspace above, including the trees, minerals, and water. That's why the Bible says the earth and the earth is the Lord's. So that is land. Everything up to the center of the earth, right up to the upward airspace above, is land. And includes all the trees, the minerals, the water. However, what is real estate? Real estate is the land plus any permanent man-made additions. Real estate is the land plus, so it becomes land when it is virgin natural state. It becomes real estate when it is the land plus any permanent man-made structures, such as houses and other buildings. What then is real property? Real property is the interests, benefits, and rights inherent in the ownership of real estate. That's real property. In other words, when you sell a property, like we loosely say, what are you selling? You're not selling a property. You are selling the interest in the property. That is why a property that is 10 years on expired term and one that is 99 years will not command the same value. I hope I'm communicating. Now, what is property development? What is property development? They are an essential component into how our environment changes and adapts over time. So basically, from homes, offices, hotels, and more, all these buildings constitute property development. In other words, it is a process. Property development is a process in which buildings and all land is developed to raise its value. The critical point is to raise its value, right? It's a business composed of numerous different elements, including building a property from the ground up, renovating an existing property, and converting properties to serve a different function to that for which it was originally held. So let's look at what do the developers do? Who is a property developer? A property developer is someone who buys a land or property to do what? To increase or raise its value. Otherwise, you're not a developer. What is the life cycle of real estate development? There are 3 stages. There's the early